Hi, my name is Heron, and I'm a writer and an artist. And today I would like to talk to you about a recent project that I worked on that didn't work out, that in my mind failed, why it failed, and what I did about it, and what I've learned from this experience. I've recently been working on this new style. It's a mixed media style, and I really love it so far. I take a bit of an acrylic wash, some acrylic paint with water, I throw it at the canvas, I dab at it with a paper towel, let it dry, and draw over it with some markers. And it's been really fun. I love the way that the peppers came out, and I made a really cool looking watermelon recently. I made a rubber duck. There's been some really fun things that I've drawn in this new style. But at the same time, this style comes with a lot of limitations because of the mixed media method and because of the way that I like to teach it in a class form. I have to be careful that I choose the right subject matter. And I think that's really the crux of what happened. So let me take a step backward in time and run you through the process. So I had an exam to study for in my day job the other day that I was a little nervous about, but I woke up the morning of the exam with this wave of inspiration and I said, I need to cover a page in purple and I need to draw some grapes. So I was very excited about the grapes and I took an hour out of my studying time to draw them. So I, went through this whole process. I spent an hour laying down the purple. I chose two good colors to go with it to create that nice split complementary color scheme. I chose a yellow and a blue. I used a reference, got really, really into rendering the grapes. And when I took a step back from it to see how it worked out in the end, I didn't really like it. The first thing that I like to do when a piece of artwork doesn't work out is I like to take a step back from it, literally. So, because I was so stressed about the exam, I thought maybe I'm being too critical on myself, maybe I'm just in a bad mood. I need to separate my emotional state from the actual piece of artwork. So I took a break. I took a shower, I ate some lunch, I had some coffee, I came back to it and took another critical look, and unfortunately, I still didn't like it. So the next step in the process, of course, is figure out what about this piece is not working out? What can I improve? One thing I noticed right off the bat was that the grapes needed a solid color foundation. I had this image in my head of, oh, make the grapes look really translucent by showing the background behind them, so leave a little bit of that purple paint in the background untouched. And in retrospect, I think it was a bit much because the markers themselves are translucent. They're already a little translucent. You can see a little bit of the texture behind them. And so what I ended up doing, rather than making them look translucent, was flattening the whole thing and making it look like just a marker drawing. And so that was the first thing I wanted to change. I also realized that by making the blue and the yellow complementary colors, I had created this piece where the grapes looked like they were sort of cut right in half, where some of the parts were yellow and some of the parts were blue, and it didn't look cohesive. So if I was going to do this all over again, I would pick, the same sort of split complementary color palette maybe, but have the contrasting color in the background and the more similar colors in the foreground so that they could create this cohesion within the same object. I also recognized that the shapes were a little weird. So, one thing I wanted to do was rather than try to draw all the grapes independently, was to draw a triangle shape and fill that in, and then draw each one of the grapes individually around, and not even each one, but just create more of a grape shape by drawing some circles around the triangle. And then because I was already working on this simplified composition, I thought, why don't I take this into Photoshop and create a mock-up there to make sure that the colors and the composition really look good. This might sound silly. It sounds like the reverse of most artists' process, right? You start in digital, make the mock-up in digital, and then take it to traditional and make it in marker. But I've been trying it for this style and it really actually works very well for me. So I made this mock-up and it looked so cool. It looked great. The colors, the shapes, I really liked it. And so I thought, okay, this is a guaranteed win. I'm going to do it again. So with all of these great ideas and this very promising mock-up, I went to it again the next day. And I threw some paint down, this time a green for the background, a light green wash. And I started drawing with a purple and a pink marker. And I did, most of the things that were in the mock-up, and I tried again, and after another hour, I looked back at it, and somehow it was even worse than the first time. I had tried so hard to improve all of these individual elements, but I think the thing that was really missing, and the thing which I was finally able to critically understand, is that this shape, the shape of a bunch of grapes, was too complicated to render well in the simplified color palette, right? Using only two colored markers, I couldn't make the grapes look like grapes. They got flattened no matter what. The reason that the Swiss cheese, the rubber duck, the watermelon slice all look so beautiful in 3D is because they're each an independent, large, cohesive shape, right? But the grapes, I was trying to render each little grape, unlike in the mock-up, which didn't really render anything, was very flat and minimalist. I was over-rendering the piece with not enough tools to do the job correctly. And this brings me back to the limitations of this new style, right? Is I need to understand that if I'm going to be teaching a class using this very simplified, almost vector style, I need to recognize that not everything is going to look good in that style. And this brings me to another very crucial question in this process. Did I have fun? Was I having fun making the grapes, or was I just getting increasingly frustrated in the nitty-gritty little details trying to make it look like something good? And yeah, I don't think I had a lot of fun making this. I think I tried way too hard and it was just getting more and more frustrating. And if I'm frustrated working on this, it's my style. My students would be incredibly frustrated, right? If I'm struggling, how am I supposed to teach this? And how are my students supposed to have fun? So I think with that in mind, I've decided to drop the grapes entirely, say that at least the way I was trying to go about it, they're just not compatible with this style, right? And maybe at some point in the future, if I brought in all the markers, right? If I used all the markers in my set and had, 12 different shades of pink and purple and spent all day rendering it, it could look really cool. But that's not the purpose that I had in mind for it. And right now I'm still trying to develop more fun, exciting shapes that I can draw in this style. So at some point, I'm going to try, a wine glass. I don't know if I have high hopes for that either. But you gotta understand it's frustrating because I recently moved to a region. I'm right near Napa. So it would be really cool if I could develop some sort of, wine themed, grape themed art class to teach to people here. But, if not, such is life. I'm sure we can find some sort of fruit that'll look really cool, as many other fruits already have. So the final question, were they great grapes? No, we're dropping the grapes, but that's okay. the journey of an artist is ever evolving. It is full of days of humility and days of growth and days of curiosity and passion. And I think that the humility of today's exercise will lead to the growth of tomorrow's. I hope that you were able to take away something, maybe some sort of useful knowledge or skill from this story of my week's failure. And I hope that I'll have something even more fun and joyful and whimsical to show with you next week that actually works in this style. As always, I hope y'all have a good week. Take care, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.